Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Hello, and welcome back to the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and today we have a very special guest. Her name is Elizabeth Grojean. And, Elizabeth comes to us with an interesting story. She came out of, the world of business, and turns out she was out on a little break in Bali and discovered an amazing thing that we're going to get talking about. And Elizabeth, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, Joe. I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm calling in from Texas.
Oh, nice, nice. What's Texas like right now? I know you guys get hot and humid about this time of year.
Oh my God, we get so hot here. But it's June right now. It hasn't hit. So we're
Oh, all
still
right.
we're still at a nice 90s in the 90s.
All right, fair enough. Well, I'm in Southern California in the Inland Empire, so we get really bad as well, but we don't get the humidity that you guys get. So
Yeah.
we've had a pretty easy June, so I'm grateful for it. Hopefully it'll just carry on.
Oh.
But it never does. So tell us a little bit about your experience. I didn't want to break the story entirely. I wanted you to be able to bring that, but you're coming out of a corporate life, and we've had a number of guests that have had a sort of a similar transformation. Why don't you to take us back to when that all happened?
So the year was 2017, 2018. So we've been in business now for about 7 going on 8 years, which is really hard to believe. But it all started in Bali. And, I don't know if it's just me, but now that I've been through this experience, I hear a lot of other people saying that they also started businesses out of being in Bali. So there's something about that island that really creates
Nice,
creativity and creation. So,
nice, nice.
um, yeah, it's a gorgeous place. But yes, I had been up until that time working in marketing and was living in New York and kind of done a lot of job switching. I'd say like a lot of lateral moves. I did marketing for architecture, tequila, small children's books.
Wow,
Had a
that's quite a
stint in
diverse
finance.
repertoire there.
Right, always like with these amazing companies, like ones that you would recognize, like BlackRock and BBDO and Scholastic, and it was all like really good exposure, but I just always felt like I was a round peg in a square hole, and I didn't feel like I was finding like quote unquote it.
Mhm.
Until finally, kind of in a moment of last resort, I'd say, I just gave notice and had taken my savings and decided I was going to travel.
All right.
And Bali was the place because I did keep hearing all these stories of creativity and, regenesis coming from there, not to mention Eat, Pray, Love. That was part of it.
Sure. Absolutely. That's a great show. And, any place that just is wild and natural and beautiful, I mean,
Yeah.
it takes you away from all the city stuff that's the opposite of all that.
Yes, and so that was kind of part of what I found was just like, the lived experience of reconnecting to nature and the sun, circadian rhythms and bugs and lizards and flowers and all those things. It was kind of like a spiritual, emotional, and probably somewhat physical detox
Nice.
to be there.
So how long were you there? When, there's generally like this, first week you just kind of decompress, and then after that you begin to relax,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
from there things happen. So,
yeah, I would say my story, it took a bit longer than I expected because, I was this A-type New Yorker with a list of things to do to maximize my spiritual experience. And
of
so
course, checking
a
things
few
off the list.
a few weeks after checking things off the list, I was like, oh my God, I'm stressed out again. And I'm doing the same thing in paradise that I did before I left. And so
Right.
I kind of went hard the other way, which was have no list and wake up and see what does today feel like? And it might be nothing, or it might be coffee or yoga or whatever. So I was kind of just doing a lot of exploring. And that was really great. And then I felt so good. I was there for 3 months. And I would say for that period of time, every week, I felt more relaxed. And
Nice.
it was kind of like a realization that none of us ever take enough time really to relax. 2 weeks or a month is not enough. And I get it. Like, how do we do that? But
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Maybe at the end of your life, if you got a good savings and you can truly retire, but for the most part,
Well, that was one of the TED Talks I saw that I found so inspiring was this guy talking about instead of saving all your time off for the end of your life, you should take a year off every 7 years.
agreed.
And he did a year in Bali and he was a designer, of course. And so, I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
It's been 7 years now, so I'm due for my year.
I love it.
Okay, so then after 3 months, I came back to New York feeling fully rested, recovered. I thought, I'd quote unquote like found the secret to my happiness or whatever. And then it turns out it was just a vacation high. And I smacked into the concrete jungle and said, oh no, it's not within me. It was external, the change or whatever. So that was the turning point in my life. And my journey was the question of, okay, well, do you jump back into the survival mindset or go back into the exploration of the unknown? And I didn't have any more savings left. So at this point, it was a real jump. And I took the jump and I thought, follow what my body tells me, which is what feels good in my body. And trust. And I had an intention of this time going back of starting a business, which I think is very important because I see a lot of people do this that also kind of end up being drifters for a long time. Think that the journey is the destination, but I think it's very helpful to have a destination that enriches the journey.
Right. Someone's got to pay for all the
Right. All the coconuts and the yoga.
Right.
So I had a very clear intention of going back and establishing a business that would be something I could run remotely. And so I went back, and it's amazing when you do things in alignment because then the road started to build itself as I was walking. I got freelance work through my prior employer. So now I had enough income to live on there.
Nice.
And I took an online course about product research. And that's how I discovered Weighted Blankets. It actually had nothing to do with Bali, but being in Bali made it possible for me to have the bandwidth to explore.
Nice. So tell me about your discovery of Weighted Blankets.
Yeah. So, it's not very sexy. I was doing the work. I was looking at data on Amazon to see what people were looking for and what had an opportunity in terms of competition. And there was this massive amount of searches for weighted blankets. And then there was almost nothing being offered except for stuff that was gray polyester. And it just all looked like cheap knockoff stuff.
Right. Temu stuff.
Exactly. And so, I got a sample and I tried one. And as soon as I tried that, I fell asleep very deeply in the middle of the day for 20 minutes. And when I woke up, I felt like I had been transported. I felt so relaxed and peaceful. I felt so good that it really became that was something that was a financial opportunity, of course, but something that I was very excited to share with people and to do it in a way that was more quality and uplifting than what was currently being offered.
Yeah, I think the idea of weighted blankets, I mean, they've been actually using it in the animal world forever. They actually they use it for cattle. They, put them in like this squeeze where they kind of make them feel like they're being
the squeeze box.
Yeah, and it makes them feel comforted by their mom or whatever. And they're just like, oh, okay. Or even dogs, they do these sort of same things, and it sort of brings you back to when you're being snuggled. And I think there's some kind of a connection in your brain that goes back to that time where you didn't have anything to worry about and you could just let go and everything was going to be okay.
Yeah, I thought that was just such a beautiful experience that, who doesn't want to feel that way?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, not to mention that they do help with sleep, which is also another benefit. I've always been a great sleeper. Sleep's my superpower, but on those days when sleep is a struggle, it's really, really tough.
I couldn't agree more. I've got the same blessing as, my wife's always whacking me in the head. She's like, how you can't fall asleep that fast? I'm like, yeah, I can. But every once in a while when something gets nagging in your brain and you can't sleep or whatever, you're dealing with a physical issue, you realize how important it is, because if I don't get my sleep, I'm lost. And I think most people that I come in contact with, and I come in contact with a lot of people, struggle with sleep. I think it's not, we're not normal people.
Right.
And I think most people struggle to get to sleep, they struggle to stay asleep, and they struggle to get good deep REM sleep. So that seems like this would be maybe a big answer. And I think sleep is one of the primary pillars of health. I don't know how you get healthy if you're not sleeping,
Yeah,
when your body repairs itself.
totally. All your cells are doing their work, and it's cumulative. Like, yeah, I mean, I think that it's possible to wake up not feeling tired
Yeah,
too.
agreed.
Yeah.
Again, my wife gets at me because I jump up out of bed, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and ready to go. And again, yeah, most people, it's like, ooh, you take
Yeah,
your hour to drink a cup of coffee or whatever and get yourself waking up. But you're right. Good sleep is, it's a superpower. And if you can do something to make that easier, that seems like it'd be worth the investment, no matter what it would be.
totally. Well, I can just jump straight over to talking about a study we did using our
Yeah.
blankets to tell us the story of how impactful they were on sleep. And there have been some studies done on weighted blankets, but they've all been, pretty small. And one was done using chainmail blankets, like 30-pound chainmail
Wow.
blankets.
That's a serious
Um,
weight.
there has been a lot of research and a lot of scientific, peer-reviewed journals done on deep pressure touch, which is the mechanism that weighted blankets use.
Hmm.
And so that is the same thing as being massaged, held, hugged. We know all of the benefits of that.
Right.
But weighted blankets specifically, there's not that much research on. So we did our own study partnering up with a wearable tech device called the Friends Rain Band, and they have an 88% accuracy as compared to a sleep lab study. But
Right.
the benefit is that we could do this with people sleeping at home in their own beds to get
Right.
good data. And the results were really positive. So we had 78% of users report that they had a positive effect on their sleep quality using the blanket.
Wow. That's
And
huge.
yeah, that was the qualitative report. And another qualitative piece was that people's readiness scores improved by 10%. And so that was the feeling of physical recovery and readiness to start the day.
Oh, wow. That's
That's
fantastic.
really nice.
Yeah.
Then the two pieces of data that we got back, or three, I should say, that we got back using the biometric measurements were an increase in deep sleep duration by 10% and an improvement on sleep onset latency, which is how long it takes you to fall asleep, of 27%. So
All
getting
right.
to bed faster, getting more quality sleep, and then an improvement in sleep efficiency. So that's how often you wake up in the middle of the night. So sleep efficiency improved to 92%.
Wow. So that number was huge. The dropping off to sleep was still remarkable. That's almost 30%. That's almost a third of the
Right.
people. But the quality of sleep, that seems like, yeah, just about everybody benefited from that.
Yeah, and so I thought this was really nice to hear because if you can make these, they're incremental improvements in your sleep quality, but that's impacting everything across your whole like spectrum of health and well-being.
Well, one good night of sleep, you feel it. I mean,
Yeah.
you could restore 4 or 5 bad nights of sleep with one good night pretty quick.
Right. And so what I think is so cool about weighted blankets, not only do they feel so wonderful and they help your sleep, but you buy one once and you can use it for the rest of your life. At least ours, we have a lifetime quality guarantee.
Wow.
And I also do a lot, I see a functional medicine doctor and I take supplements and I do other things for my health as an investment. But I'll spend a lot more on supplements over my
Oh,
lifetime.
and that's the thing too. A lot of times people, anytime you can look at it, the difference between a device or a consumable, whether it's a supplement or even food, you go, when people are like, I don't know, that's expensive. And if it's going to last you more than a month, I just look at what you're spending on your vegetables if you're buying good full quality produce, or your coffee or whatever it is, or supplements or vitamins, whatever. It's like crazy. And if you got something in this situation where you say it's a lifetime product, I mean, even if it was that lasts you for a year, you think about how many what do I spend in any one of these categories in a year? And you're just like, I could have bought a bunch of those. So,
Totally. What would be like worth for good sleep? So
right.
it's really a fun business to be in because we hear the feedback from customers of just, sometimes they make me want to cry, like
Nice.
being able to sleep for the first time after losing a loved one, but years ago. So
Right.
first night of solid sleep, it's life-changing
It
sometimes.
is
Yeah.
100%. So
So
tell me about, you decided to start this business, and a lot of people, that are connected to health-based businesses are maybe not have never done that before. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. I've started dozens of businesses, but I failed at many of them. And I, took a while to start figuring out, how to do that well. It's not a skill that just generally comes to people. So tell me about your process with that.
yeah, well, I was really scared to start actually. I had a business partner for a minute, someone I met in Bali, another girl from Australia who had left corporate, and she had a big fund that she was really ready to invest in starting up a business. And we were working on this together for a couple months. Like I had the idea, and then she was looking for products and couldn't find an idea. So she said, "Hey, let's partner." And I said, "Yes."
Hmm.
2 months in, a friend of mine goes, "You used to be really happy, but you seem kind of down. Like what happened?"
Oh,
And I said, "Oh my gosh, it's having a partner. Like this is meant to be a solo endeavor." And I rode my motorbike home. I called her. I told her like this isn't me. This is the universe. This is just true. I just have to tell you this is what's happening.
hmm.
Um, I paid her back everything she'd put in, and I had no money. I had no money to buy inventory to get started. And my dad was like, "Well, you really messed that one up, didn't you?" I said, "No, I know that I didn't because it would not have succeeded that way if you try to make your decisions based on control or scarcity or lack or anything. It just wasn't right."
So true.
And he said, and I don't have a family. This is not a situation where you think, oh, yeah, so her dad just gave her money. Okay,
Right.
that's not normal. But my dad said, "I would like to help you get started." And I said, "No." I said, "I really want to do this on my own. Like part of my motivation is I want to be able to support my family, my larger family. I'm the
Mhm.
oldest child, so I think that's a common,
Oh, yeah, I'm the eldest too. I know exactly what you mean.
yeah, that feeling. But then I went into a breathwork meditation session with a healer, as you do in Bali. And
Hmm.
in that session, I could feel my dad's presence and I felt the light. I'm going to cry. Uh,
That's right.
yeah, it was like this feeling of him wanting to support me out of unconditional love, not for any other reason. So I came out and I said, "Yes, I will accept your gift. I will allow you to contribute to me in that way." And
Wow.
he said, "When I was your age, which I was 37, when I was your exact same age, my dad supported my business. And that was a pivotal moment for me in understanding what it means to be a father." So,
Wow.
so it was like a thread. It was beautiful. And then he said, "You want me to wire money to China?" I
Right,
was like, "I think that's what we're supposed to do now."
right.
And so that's how we bought the first order of inventory. And
Wow.
it was only 500 blankets, and we sold out in a month and a half. And I
Wow.
was very, very nervous because it just looked like this amazing opportunity. I was like, this looks like such a no-brainer. I just don't know why, if I see it, no one else is seeing this. Like,
Right.
I must be missing something. But
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
what am I going to do? Not do it?
Right. Yeah, if it's working, why would you not continue? Right.
Yeah, so we did it. And, I really thought this was going to be a side hustle, something I could do on the side to help me with multiple streams of income or kind of maybe be able to continue to live a little bit more freely. And it turned into a major business in the first year. And by the second year, I think, or third year, I hired my sister full time. She
Nice.
left her corporate job and now she's the COO. And I laugh because she went to Princeton. And so someone said,
And now
"What
she's
did
working
you
for
do?"
you.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I went to
Love
state
it.
school."
Love it.
But we love working together, and we're still a small business, but we've been around now for 7 going on 8 years, and really love being able to do things the way that we want to do them, make choices that are aligned with the best quality and the best service and the best product for people. Um,
So tell me about the blanket itself. I know that you're talking about, the quality and all of that. Now, when you were first setting this thing up, you're dealing with, contract manufacturers, and you have to set the specs of what you want. and they probably had some kind of a product that they started with to say, we can do this. Tell me about that a little bit. What caused you to make your blanket the way you made it? Hi, this is Joe Grumbine, and I wanted to share an update. The platform that hosts this podcast has made some changes to the subscriber settings, and we have a number of subscriber-only episodes that we offer to the supporters, and for a minimum of $3 a month, we can get you signed up. And if you're already signed up and you're having some kind of trouble locating these episodes in the other platforms, I would say maybe the best answer is to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I'm sorry for the hassle. I don't have any way to make a change, but I'm very grateful for all the support. Thank you.
Well, I wanted it to be all natural materials, so we use cotton, and then the default was to use a polyester lining inside, so we've taken that out, and it's all cotton. And then the glass microbeads are what makes the weight. And the first question I always get is the weighted blanket going to make me hot? Because I get that naturally as a thought. Yeah. But with just cotton and really high quality, premium, and clean cotton, we use Okotex certified cotton. So there's no chemicals on the cotton from processing. It's very cool and breathable. And that was first and foremost in my mind because I was living in Bali at the time. And I was thinking about people going through menopause or perimenopause, and being able to sleep is a big deal, you know.
Yeah, plus, a lot of us just are hot-blooded.
Hot sleepers.
Yeah.
So this is a all year tool and all weather tool. It's not seasonal at all, and cool and breathable. And there's really not too much that you can do from a tech point of view or create a moat around a weighted blanket, since it's a pretty simple tool, which I think is part of what makes it so elegant and wonderful. But just really high quality materials. And then we have plastic free packaging. So everything comes in canvas bag, and, you know, we use paper tape instead of plastic tape, and that's more expensive, and everything just being very thoughtful about those details. And then from the first day, we've been partnered with a nonprofit called the Pajama Program, which helps children get better sleep. And the founder of that organization started off working with kids in foster care and homeless shelters who actually didn't know, like, she met a child who didn't know what pajamas were.
Wow.
Her heart. And so they first got their start by raising funds and donations to give kids books and pajamas so they could have a reassuring bedtime routine in an otherwise chaotic life. And so I love this organization, and we partner with them. And then we also work with another one called Sea Trees to offset our carbon footprint and then double the offset to pay it forward. And they're doing very inspiring work in reforesting kelp and mangrove forests, which sequester 5 times more carbon than the rainforest from the atmosphere. So
nice. I like that. Actually, I'm well aware of what kelp and mangrove can do. So I think that's good work there. Tell me about this partnership with the nonprofit. I like hearing business. I run a nonprofit as well, so I like hearing when businesses do partner with that. What does that look like?
In the beginning, when we were getting started, we would do a donation to them anytime someone would leave a review or tag us on social media. But then it felt a little bit too, you know, I don't know, bribey or something.
Sure.
We stopped that, and now we just do a financial contribution to them every year. And they're very reliant on their 2 corporate partners, which are Scholastic and Carter's Pajamas. Even though we're a very small partner for them, I think it's nice that we can help spread the word a bit more.
Trust me, as a nonprofit, anytime somebody comes in and says, I support what you're doing and you can count on something, it makes all the difference in the world. That's good stuff.
Yeah. So we try to talk about them a lot. Definitely it's a big item on my list this year, is to figure out how to structure that in a more, I don't know, stronger way, so we can do more for them. But
sure.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. So you probably have a lot of stories about, you know, the impact that you've made. How, you know, you're a distributor, or you're a wholesaler, or you're a retailer. How does your business function?
I don't really know which category we fit into. We still contract our manufacturing out. It's still made in China. We have an amazing factory. We're not working with the original factory anymore.
Okay.
I've been there and visited, but they have a stellar product. Um, we buy the inventory and then we sell it direct to consumers through our website and through Amazon.
Okay.
And we
So
sell.
Amazon is your other
Mhm.
besides your website. Okay, fair enough.
Yes, those are our two core sales channels. And then we're partnered up with some other online stores. So we'll drop ship for them. One of those is Goop. Another is like Zola for wedding registries, a handful of other
Okay.
online stores. Something I'm really trying to explore further this year is getting into hotels and
Nice.
spas because it's such an experiential product. I think if
Hmm.
someone had the chance to try it out, then they would know like what it feels like. Um,
What's the price point on these things?
our best seller is the 12-pound throw, and that one retails for 218 full
Okay.
price. And then we have free shipping.
Nice. And as you said, you could spend that on a couple of months worth of vitamins really easy,
So fast.
good quality herbal supplements. You're spending 30 to $60 for a bottle of, 60 capsules, just like that. And so it seems
Totally.
like a number, but man, if you really pay attention, that's nothing. Uh,
Mhm.
so I like all that. You've probably had a lot of feedback from clients, as you're dealing directly with these clients. Oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. With all this crazy political stuff going on and tariffs and issues with China, has that impacted you, or do you think it's going to?
It definitely has. We're paying a 35% duty rate now, which is a pretty significant increase in our cost of product. So we are exploring manufacturing in other countries, but I don't think it's realistic for us to manufacture in the United States, unfortunately. What would be ideal to me is if we could find something in Latin America in our time zone where we could easily, it just makes everything a lot easier.
Oh yeah, working with China's rough because they're
Yeah,
you're dealing with them at midnight just to have a conversation. I've done some business with them, and it's not good
yeah,
for sleeping people.
right.
So
So
back to the question that I had, I always like to hear sort of that one personal story or a couple of anecdotes that just says where you told me about the one lady who slept for the first time after losing a loved one, but is there anything else that stands out as a significant impact that your product has made?
when I always think about it, maybe because there's a personal connection here, was one of our customer service people, her first name is Emma, has a son on the spectrum, and he was, I think, 8 or 9 at the time, and she started using our weighted blanket with him and said that it took an hour off of the time it took for him to fall asleep.
Wow.
So I get emotional thinking about that too, like how hard it is to be a kid with that challenge. I think that it was still taking him an hour to get to sleep, but man, like,
Better than two, right?
right.
Yeah.
And another thing is that he had started a new medication, which was like an ADD type of medication, which those are stimulants.
Right. Yeah, just
Sleep
speed.
at the same time, and his sleep. I guess she was using a sleep tracker on him. I don't know, but his sleep score improved
Nice.
at the same time. So that was pretty incredible. And just, as a mom thinking about that with your child, like you're really trying to help them out and to find something that helps is great.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, Elizabeth, we always come to this bewitching hour, and I'd like to give you a chance to give your elevator pitch and a way that everybody can get a hold of you.
Amazing. Well, I don't know if I have much more to say about Baloo Living, but we make weighted blankets. We also make weighted sleep mask, which I didn't mention. That's made out of silk. And
Nice.
we have a super luxe linen sheets. If you're into linen, come to see our store at balooliving.com. And that's spelled Baloo. And we have a discount for your listeners, which is, let me find out what it's called, Healthy Living for 10% off store wide. Or you can
We'll
find us
put
on
that in the
Amazon.
show notes so everybody can find it.
Perfect.
Excellent. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and I wish you always the very best success. It sounds like you're helping a lot of people find health in their life.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to be here.
You bet. All right. This has been the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine. We thank you for your support, and we will see you next time. This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. We produce this show so that people can share their stories, people that have overcome obstacles, people that are undergoing obstacles. We're building a community of health-minded individuals. If you're interested in supporting the show, please leave a review on the platform you're listening to it on. If you're interested in becoming a guest, please send an email to itsjoegrumbine@gmail.com, or you can send a note into the notes section of the podcast. All right. Well, thank you for supporting this show, and we hope you've enjoyed it.